I think a lot of Commander players, especially casually, are just cheating without realizing it. There are many ways, such as manipulating the top of your deck or not randomizing appropriately, that even the 1v1 60 guard players are bringing over into Commander. But in today's video, I wanted to use a Reddit post framing a more traditional cheating scenario to have a discussion around a way that many casual players might actually be holding themselves back and, in a way, cheating themselves out of not only a good Commander experience, but also just being a better deck builder in general. Let's have a nuanced discussion around randomization and mulligans. Bit of a long one here, folks, so let's strap in. Dealing with a cheater in casual EDH. Hey guys, a few weeks ago I was playing Commander at my LGS and a regular started blatantly cheating in one of our games. He was playing Zimone Mystery Unraveler. She lets you manifest dread when you make your first land drop each turn. The way he was cheating was with fetch lands. So when it comes to Zimone, classic Simic shenanigans, whenever land you control enters manifest dread, if this is the first time this ability resolved this turn, so you get a card out with a fetch land. If it's the second time, or any future time on that turn, you may instead turn that permanent you control face up. So it's a great way to just cheat things out very easily. This is a deck where obviously you would want many permanents kind of coming out. So if you manifest dread, that way you can kind of flip up a bunch of creatures, artifacts, enchantments. Notably, I don't believe you get the landfall if you were to flip up like a land itself. So that's out of the picture, getting like multiple land drops a turn or whatever. But ideally what you want to do on one turn, you flip up a land, and then maybe on the next turn you flip up another land to get another trigger going, and then potentially have multiple land drops coming all at once to flip a bunch of things. Or you could just go one card at a time. Regardless, Simic shenanigans, cheating out big things. Zimone's doing crazy things. A lot of the Zimone cards are pretty solid. You had a fetch land in the graveyard and a Crucible of Worlds effect in play. So an ability that lets you play lands out of your graveyard. You play a fetch land. I was gonna say fleshlight for some reason, folks. I'm Goonin's up here for some reason. Manifest dread and then crack the fetch while searching. He would pick up from the top of his library. Oh, okay. So it's like kind of half veiled as like shortcutting. Like, oh, okay, big deck. I'm just gonna look at the top. Find a land, then peek at the top few cards to see what he would manifest dread next turn. Okay. He would only occasionally shuffle, and when he did, he only shuffled the top half of his library. Okay. So a lot of times I think we've come into this scenario as well where we want to shortcut something. We'll say, hey, I'm just going to look through, and find like the next card. You go, and then they shuffle their whole deck after, right? They just get their effect off. They see what, the land is they have and bring it in tap just to give the appropriate amount of information for your opponent to kind of move forward. And then you just spend that time shuffling. In this case, the player's like not doing that. They're not shortcutting appropriately. He would only occasionally shuffle, and when he did, he only shuffled the top of his library. It's cheating in two ways. Firstly, looking at the top couple of cards to not shuffle, and then obviously when he didn't like that, he would shuffle, again, only taking cards out of the first half of the deck, which is what he is drawing from. So it's not true randomization. The other half of the deck that he's looking at probably just didn't have cards that you want, so he just kept that top half. I think I'm the only player that noticed and decided not to call him out on it because I didn't want to make a scene. Instead, I reminded him to shuffle. The first time I reminded him, he made an unpleasant remark and then started to shuffle the top of it. What a loser. I then told him to make sure to shuffle his whole library. He then told me to calm down, then proceeded to shuffle his whole library. I reminded him to shuffle on the next turn, and he started to get pretty upset with me. All right, folks, look. The age-old comment of calm down. Okay, to be honest with me, comment down below. When is the last time you told someone to calm down and they actually visibly calmed down and did not get mad at you? When's the last time? Your spouse, partner, your parents, siblings. When is the last time you told someone to calm down? Just saying, OP here, they didn't say calm down. I'm saying, like, I'm surprised they didn't trip right there. I'd be like, why are you telling me to, hey, yo, what are you saying F me for? What are you saying F me for? Like, when it comes to people getting caught in something, just take the L. Just go shuffle. You need to stop. Of course, they're getting more and more mad. Still not wanting to make a scene, I stopped saying anything and I just observed his blatant cheating. He ended up not winning the game, but I decided to ruin his fun for the rest of the night. Nah. In the next game, he was playing a Rakdos burn deck and I played Azorius Control. He cast his commander 5 times that game. I countered it 4. And Excel did got priority the other time. I spent all my interaction on him and made sure his board was constantly empty, even though it was suboptimal for me to do so. He went to a different table after. What a loser. What's great is that this is a regular, and a regular started blatantly cheating. And okay, so first of all, you know, this is a scenario where generally speaking, you know, you just need to take a look at everybody and have everyone shuffle. A very simple way to actually do this is, even if you didn't want people to spend time shuffling, a great way to shortcut this is just do like crazy cuts. That's all you need to do. You know, just cut. Like if y'all don't want to shuffle, just make a rule in the pod like, hey, let me cut your deck, right? Just cut it like 3 times. Put it into 3-4 piles. Cut it in any random order. That's a great way to like shortcut something. That way, you know, people aren't cheating. You make the cut, you make the split, and you need to do what you need to do at that point forward. So those are great ways to shortcut. But regardless, I think when it comes to any pod, making sure that people randomize their deck is important so that I'm not manipulating the top. The thing I really wanted to bring up is some of these things are actually built into a lot of casual pods. People want to play on average more games in the time that they've allotted, so they will opt to shortcut, like, oh, I'm just going to do this on your turn, I'm going to do this now, I'm going to shortcut this. These are phrases we've heard before. Where it gets dicey is in these situations where, you know, evolving it to even pre-game. So we have shortcuts that we do in game, right? And in many ways, sometimes post game as well. But one of the biggest ways that I think people are cheating themselves, and in some ways actually cheating as well, taking away from good deck building, is that whole free mulligan side of things. And yes, this is a discussion beyond this. There are ways to stop this type of thing. There are ways to view this type of thing, but that's not the point of this video. My point of the video isn't to highlight cheating, but it's also to bring up that this is a situation, and I'm making an assumption here, where someone is a regular at the LGS. They might have built a new deck, or a deck that they are frustrated with that they haven't been able to win with, or they're having a bad day and they want a game of Commander to go their way, so they decide to cheat to do that. Regardless, many things happening there. And you can see similar play patterns arise when it comes to play groups, casual play groups, just wanting to have a smooth experience when it comes to free mulligans. There are many pods that we've been a part of, learning Commander, still playing Commander, where we have a free mulligan rule. Heck, there might even be times where you get into a table with a bunch of content creators and everything. I've come into this where sometimes we get into streams and they'll say, hey, you know what, just mulligan to a good hand. We're just trying to have a good time here, right? And that's perfectly fine. That's a discussion that everyone has had. But if you're getting into a general pod where that's not necessarily the rule zero discussion, you're not doing something for content, you're not doing something for the viewership experience, you're doing something for the gameplay, having people mulligan multiple times for free to mulligan to that soul ring, mulligan to that key artifact that they need, mulligan to the combo piece for their 1-2 converted mana cost commander, is not going to lead to good experiences for the rest of the table. And so in many ways, making sure that you actually have good mulligan rules and enforce them are a big way that you can on average improve your Commander games, because then you can not only yourself but also point out to your play group how they are kind of making bad decisions when it comes to deck building. This is a very easy way to catch the people that play under 36, 35 land. 35 is like a limit for me. I'm playing like 36, 37 on average, bare minimum, right? Unless it's like CDH, or sometimes even like a higher power bracket 4 deck that might be slightly more optimized. On average, I'm playing these high land counts because we know at this point, statistically speaking, we've seen the gameplay for it as well, that when you are able to ramp more and get more kind of resources out to use, the more likely you are to win. And a traditional way to ramp is to just have more lands out versus more artifacts or creatures that are easily interactable with. Lands generally, when it comes to bracket 3 at least, are an untouchable thing when it comes to mass land destruction and everything. So this is a good way to catch those people that aren't able to have good land count decks or smooth mana bases. They are playing 30, 31 lands and they're wondering, why do I never draw a land? Oh, my opening hands are always so bad. That's your fault. You built your deck bad. And then they've also not, on top of that, built out good filtering, good card draw to be able to draw into other things. They'll say, oh, I draw too many lands. That's also your fault. You've also unfocused your deck, right? Because yes, you're drawing now too many lands. Oh, Shaft, you told me to play 37 lands. I'm drawing too many lands now. That's, yes, play more card draw, play more filtering, do more things with those lands, play commanders that do something with those lands. And if you don't have a commander that does that, again, play more filtering. There are plenty of cards out there that can draw discard, get them out of your hand, and then have some value out of something in your graveyard through delve mechanics. There are ways to use functional recopies of cards that you are drawing, aka lands, in your deck. You have just not optimized your deck. You have gone to the point of, you know, just playing out your random jank that isn't actually any good. And so this is a scenario where we meet a divide now, where a lot of people say, yes, Commander should be a place where you can play your fun janky cards, and that's fine. The problem is you've met a condition where you are complaining to me about not having smooth draws. And so this is where we get to the point of those free mulligans, people just trying to have the most powerful hand that they can sculpt when it comes to bracket 3. And so in those pods, on average, I would imagine bracket 4 players probably aren't doing this based on the experience that you're looking for. On average, having fetch lands and more shuffle effects and higher win conditions. When it comes to bracket 1, 2, 3, in these experiences, if you are complaining about having these scenarios, that's a deck building problem because you care about optimization. You want a smooth game experience, which is optimization. It's not necessarily about optimizing to win. It could be optimizing to have a certain goal in mind, draw a certain amount of lands, go about a certain game plan. You know, I always bring this deck up, but because it's my favorite deck that I've spent most amount of time on recently, by my Obeka Splitter of Seconds initiative deck. The way I built it is the majority of initiative cards are kind of converted mana cost 4 or above. And so I've put every single possible 2 mana rock card in that deck, the talismans, all that stuff in there, so that when I shuffle into it, when I mulligan, if I can find, you know, 2 to 3 lands plus a 2 mana rock, that's where I want to be. Because then on turn 3, I can consistently cast Obeka. And then after that, ideally, you know, drawing into other cards, having other card draw, having tutors, bracket 3. So you got to play within your tutor limits of game changers. I can then find my other initiative card, which will then find me into another land and continue to draw me through the deck. I built it in such a way where the consistency is there, because yes, I could be playing, you know, more tutors. I could be playing more, I don't know, big removal spells. I could be playing more of any one effect, but I have to focus it in because I have a plan. I want to get out the initiative. I want to get in maybe one attack with Obeka, and after that, the commander doesn't really even matter. I have ways to get the commander in and have some value with it, but in many ways, I'm not paying, you know, there's that black card that I think it's like black X, and then you pay X amount of life, and then target creature gets plus X plus 0 equal to the amount of life that you paid. So you could put that into a Becca, swing in with a giant Manache creature, and then you're going through a cajillion upkeeps. I could focus it in that way, but that's a whole different focus. So I've removed cards like that. I've honed in on an idea, and I think this is where that deck building part of Commander falls off for a lot of people. You get into this trap of your casual pods where you're having all these free mulligans, free items, like, oh, can I just do this instead? Takes these backsies, and takes these backsies a whole different thing. That's fine when it comes to a discussion with your group. If that's something you're okay with, maybe you limit the amount of ways that you can do that. But if you just do this type of stuff like willy-nilly, you are cheating yourself, and in many ways you are cheating, of course, but you're taking away your ability to be a better deck builder and a better player in general, because you're not used to spending that extra time and thinking before you speak, thinking before you play, thinking before you do what you need to do to succeed and optimize the goal that you had in mind. And so that's kind of going to be the whole point of this video. I just wanted to go on this little rant about how, you know, all these free mulligans that we're doing is taking away from you being a better player and a deck builder, and making sure that you give yourself barriers. Having friction is important because overcoming something is valuable when it comes to your life. You see this in many other things. Your adversity of being just a simple math test in school, or a breakup when it comes to, I don't know, whenever in life, you know, young, old, whatever. These type of friction moments, these adversity moments do teach you something. You have to fail in order to succeed. There are very few people, if not at all any people, that have gone through life and have succeeded without failing or stumbling in some way, shape, or form. If you believe in the true randomness of the universe, it is almost a 0% chance that people don't experience some amount of negative randomness, and the negativity of that randomness is even subjective in many ways. The way some people view negativity in that sense is very different than someone else. You know, the one person's trash is another person's treasure type of analogy. And so having that type of negativity is important. And there is that whole view of, if you view everything as negative, that's something bad as well. So you shouldn't view this type of negativity, this type of friction where you can only have a certain amount of free mulligans and stuff like that, as completely bad. But it's important to make sure that you are improving as a commander player. Ultimately, you are playing this game. You shouldn't seek stagnancy. You shouldn't want to play the same game over and over again. You don't do that in your life necessarily. You do want improvement, right? Everyone wants their job to be the same in many ways, but everyone can also want maybe their school to be the same in many ways. It's just the same tests and stuff, but you're not learning anything. You're not improving. If you were to do the same thing over and over again, our current societal structure wouldn't actually lend you to moving up or moving through and out of the systems that you are trapped within, right? That's just how we're kind of built right now. And this isn't some long-winded way to, be like, oh, everyone, go get that high-paying job or whatever, right? Like, it's okay to be where you're at as long as you have a constant sense of improvement. It could be, you don't want a super high-paying job. You're fine, spending your time not grinding, playing board games all the time. But even when you're doing something like that, engaging in a hobby, running, biking, gaming, whatever it is, random hobbies that you have, there is a sense of improvement. You add goals to it because you have something to look forward to, because that's what life is. If you believe in the randomness of life, and if you believe that there's nothing beyond, the end and everything, then life is just what you make it. And if life is just a bunch of free mulligans, then you're in for a bad time. I got a little philosophical there at the end, but regardless, I hope my point got across. I think I'm yapping a little too much. Regardless, I thought it was important to have that discussion. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Let me know how maybe your play group has gotten around a lot of this when it comes to free mulligans, heck, even the whole discussions around arms races and people constantly trying to improve beyond that. If you get into that improvement mentality, how is your pod dealt with not only cheating? Maybe you've introduced someone into that pod, or you've taken your pod of 2 to 3 players. That's not a perfect pod. You've gone to an LGS and you've experienced something like this, or again, experience a situation where everyone's just free mulliganing and everyone's just playing these super high quality decks that are just looking for a couple of pieces. How have you dealt with this? How have you managed them in terms of players, in terms of rules? Sound off in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts.